Dad's silent revenge.
I stood outside that glass pool house watching my 21-year-old son Brandon eat a gas station sandwich while my brother's Christmas party went on inside the main house. That's when I knew I had to destroy her. My name's Gary Peterson. I'm 57, been an electrical contractor for 30 years. Lost my wife Michelle 4 years ago to cancer. Been raising Brandon on my own since. He's a good kid, junior year at state studying engineering, works part-time at Murphy's Coffee to pay his own way. Never asks for handouts, never complains. Tonight, though, I watched him get treated like garbage by people who should love him. Let me back up. My brother Nathan called me Tuesday morning while I was wiring a commercial job downtown. I was up on a ladder, running conduit for the new office complex on Industrial Drive when my phone rang. Gary, you're still coming Saturday night, right? Diane's Christmas networking party. Course we are. Brandon's looking forward to it. I balanced the phone between my shoulder and ear, kept working. Kid even bought her that fancy soap set she mentioned wanting long pause. Too long. I stopped what I was doing, climbed down the ladder. Actually, Gary, about Brandon. Diane was hoping we could make it adults only this year. You know, sophisticated crowd, potential investors. I set down my wire strippers on the concrete floor. Nathan, he's 21. He's hardly a kid. I know. It's just, well, he works at that coffee shop. Diane's worried it might come up with the clients. The words hit me like I'd grabbed live wire without gloves. He works there to pay for college. Kid's got a 3.8 GPA, making Dean's List every semester. I know that. You know that. But Diane's clients don't. They'll just see someone who serves coffee. I looked around that construction site, all those honest guys doing real work. Plumbers, drywall crews, HVAC technicians, good people making decent livings with their hands and their brains. We'll be there at 600 like always, Nathan. Gary, please don't make this difficult. You know how important these connections are for Diane's business. Your wife's real estate business is more important than your nephew? That's not. Look, it's just one night. Brandon will understand. I hung up without another word. Spent the rest of the day running wire and thinking about how my family had changed since Diane came into the picture. Nathan used to be different. Used to care about the right things, but 6 years of marriage to a woman who inherited Daddy's real estate empire had turned him into someone I barely recognized. Didn't tell Brandon about the conversation that night. Kid was excited about the party, had even bought a new shirt from Kohl's with money from his tips. Pressed it real careful, hung it on his closet door. He'd been saving up 3 weeks to buy Diane that soap set, some French brand that cost more than he made in 2 shifts. Uncle Nathan's place is always so fancy, he said, while we ate leftover pizza at the kitchen table. Remember last year they had those ice sculptures shaped like swans? I remember, think Aunt Diane will like the gift I got her. I looked up what she uses online, found the exact same brand. My heart broke a little. She'll love it, buddy. Saturday evening came. We drove out to Nathan's place in Westfield, one of those sprawling developments where every house looks the same but costs more than most people make in 5 years. Their place sat on 2 acres with a heated pool, 3-car garage, and one of those glass pool houses that cost more than my truck. The houses in that neighborhood all had names instead of just numbers. Nathan's was called Willowbrook Estate even though there wasn't a willow tree or brook anywhere on the property. Just manicured lawns and imported stone walkways that probably cost 50 grand to install. We pulled into the circular driveway around 5:30. I wanted to get there early, help set up, show we appreciated being included. The driveway was already lined with cars that belonged in a luxury dealership showroom. BMWs, Mercedes, one Lexus that still had dealer tags. I parked my F-150 between a white Porsche and something German I couldn't even pronounce the name of. Fancy crowd tonight, Brandon said, grabbing the wrapped gifts from behind the seat. Same family as always, I told him, but I was already getting that bad feeling in my gut. The kind you get right before you open an electrical panel and find out someone's been doing their own wiring. The front door was solid oak with beveled glass panels that probably cost more than most people's cars. Diane answered before we even rang the bell. She's 45, looks like she stepped out of one of those magazines they keep at the doctor's office. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my mortgage payment. Gary, you're early, not a greeting, an accusation. Her smile was practiced, professional, completely empty when she looked at Brandon. Thought we could help set up. Her eyes went to Brandon, took in his Kohl's shirt and khakis, then flicked back to me, actually. I need to speak with you about something. She stepped outside onto the stone porch, pulled the heavy door mostly shut behind her. Through the beveled glass, I could see people moving around inside. Soft jazz music playing, the sound of expensive laughter. Everything looked warm and inviting from out here on the cold December evening. There's been a small change of plans tonight, Diane said, her voice smooth as silk and twice as cold. This is really more of a business function. Major investors, potential partnerships. I was hoping Brandon could wait in the pool house until the main event wraps up. Excuse me? It's heated, comfortable seating, satellite TV. Just for an hour or so until people start leaving. I felt Brandon go still beside me. The kid had heard every word, Diane. What's this really about? It's about image, Gary. These people judge by appearances. If they find out we have family who work in service industry, she let the words hang there like smoke. Service industry. I repeated the words slow, tasted the poison in them. You understand, it's nothing personal against Brandon. He's a sweet boy. But I've worked very hard to position our family a certain way in this community. Our family, the Peterson name carries weight here. Nathan's insurance business, my real estate developments, we can't afford any complications. Through the glass door, I could see Nathan in the living room talking to a couple in expensive clothes. He caught my eye for a second, then looked away quick, coward. The pool house has everything he needs, Diane continued. Mini fridge, comfortable furniture. He'll actually be more relaxed out there, away from all the boring business talk. Brandon finally spoke up, his voice quiet. It's okay, Dad, I'll wait outside. No, son. It's not okay, but Diane was already moving back toward the door. I'll have the caterers bring him a plate later. He won't miss anything important. She disappeared inside before I could say another word. Through the windows, I could see her greeting guests, air kisses, and practice laughs, playing the perfect hostess while my son stood on the porch like some kind of unwanted delivery. Dad, please. Let's not make a scene. This is wrong, Brandon. I know. But Uncle Nathan's your only family besides me. I don't want to be the reason you lose him too. The kid was thinking about everyone but himself, just like his mother used to do. Michelle would have handled this better than me, probably found some way to make it right without burning bridges. But Michelle wasn't here and I had to make the call, so I let it happen. God help me. I walked my son around the side of that mansion, past the 3-car garage and the professionally landscaped gardens, to that glass prison they called a pool house. The space was nice enough. Floor-to-ceiling windows, designer furniture that cost more than most people's cars, 60-inch flat screen mounted on the wall. Still felt like exile. There's sodas in the fridge, I told him, my voice tight. I'll come check on you soon. Take your time, Dad. I brought my engineering textbook anyway. Got an exam next week. I looked at my son, 21 years old, straight A student, working his way through college one coffee at a time, sitting in that pool house like he was accepting punishment for some crime he didn't commit. You're a good man, Brandon. Don't let anyone make you think different. I won't. I walked back to the main house, past the imported stone walkways and the fountain that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. Found Nathan in the living room, surrounded by people I didn't know, all of them talking about property values and investment portfolios and other things that apparently mattered more than family. Gary. Nathan waved me over with fake enthusiasm. Come meet the Hendersons. They're looking at some commercial properties downtown. I shook hands with Mr. Henderson, a thin man in his 60s wearing a suit that probably cost more than my truck payment. His wife looked like she'd stepped out of a country club catalog. What line of work are you in, Gary? Mrs. Henderson asked. Electrical contractor, been wiring buildings for 30 years. Oh, how interesting. Her tone suggested it wasn't interesting at all. Nathan was just telling us about the new development Diane's working on. Luxury condos overlooking the lake. Sounds expensive. Well, you get what you pay for, Mr. Henderson said. Quality construction, quality tenants, quality investment returns. Quality. Everything was about quality with these people. Quality cars, quality neighborhoods, quality connections. Never mind that the guy who wired their quality buildings was standing right in front of them. Where's your son tonight, Mrs. Henderson asked. Nathan mentioned you have a boy in college. He's around. I glanced toward the pool house, barely visible through the main house windows. What's he studying? Engineering. Kid works part-time to pay his own way through school. Good for him. So important for young people to learn work ethic. I agree. Though some people think service jobs are something to be ashamed of. Mrs. Henderson looked puzzled. Oh no, quite the opposite. My own son worked at a restaurant through college. Best thing that ever happened to him. Taught him how to deal with difficult people, manage stress, work as part of a team. Interesting. Here was someone with real money talking about honest work like it was a virtue instead of an embarrassment. Made me wonder what Diane had been telling Nathan about necessary sacrifices and family image. The conversation moved on to interest rates and property taxes. I nodded when appropriate, smiled at the right moments, but my mind was on Brandon sitting alone in that pool house. Every few minutes I'd catch sight of him through the glass, reading his textbook under those expensive lights. Dinner was called around 7:30. The dining room could have hosted a state dinner, Long mahogany table, crystal chandelier, place settings that probably cost more per plate than most people spend on groceries in a week. Everyone found their assigned seats based on little cards with fancy calligraphy. I looked for Brandon's place card. There wasn't one, Diane. I caught her arm as she supervised the seating arrangements. "Where's my son sitting?" "Oh." She waved her hand like she was brushing away a fly. "I had the caterers prepare a plate for the pool house. He'll be much more comfortable eating out there, away from all the business discussion." "You're having him eat alone, Gary? Please don't create drama." My guests are watching, they were. Conversations had stopped, faces were turning our way. All these strangers in their expensive clothes, wondering what the fuss was about. The help having some kind of problem? That's when I made my decision. Not the emotional explosion I might have had 20 years ago. Something colder, more calculated. If Diane wanted to play games about image and reputation, I'd show her how that game really worked. "You're right," I said loud enough for the whole dining room to hear. "Wouldn't want any drama at your lovely party." I walked out to check on Brandon. The pool house sat about 50 yards from the main house, connected by a stone pathway lined with those fancy solar lights that probably cost $200 each. Through the floor-to-ceiling glass walls, I could see my son sitting at a small table, doing homework under designer lighting. He looked up when I opened the door. "Hey, Dad, how's the party?" "Fine, you okay out here?" "Yeah, it's actually pretty nice. Quiet, good lighting for studying." He gestured at his engineering textbook. "Got that fluid dynamics exam Monday." On the table next to his book was a sandwich still in gas station wrapper. Generic brand, probably stale. "Where'd you get that?" "Found it in the mini fridge. Guess the landscaping crew leaves stuff here." I sat down across from him. This kid, my kid, eating a stale sandwich while 30 people inside gorged themselves on beef tenderloin and lobster bisque and acting grateful for the privilege. "Brandon, I need you to do something for me. Keep your phone handy tonight. If anyone comes out here, anyone at all, I want you to pay attention to what they say." "Can you do that?" "Sure, but why? Just trust me on this one." I pulled out my own phone, opened the voice recording app I downloaded that afternoon. Tested it quick to make sure it worked. Clear, audio, good quality. Perfect. "Dad, what are you planning? Justice, son." Sometimes you have to document things when people show you who they really are. I went back inside. The dining room was in full swing now, crystal glasses clinking, expensive laughter echoing off the chandelier. Diane was holding court at the head of the table, talking about her latest development project, something about luxury condos and targeting high net worth buyers. I found my assigned seat, second to last chair at the far end, right where you'd put someone you barely tolerated. Nathan was 3 seats down, avoiding eye contact. The Hendersons sat in the middle, prime real estate at Diane's table. "Wonderful turnout tonight," Mrs. Henderson was saying. "You've built such a lovely community here." "Thank you. It's all about maintaining standards," Diane replied. "When you allow the wrong elements in, property values suffer." "Wrong elements." I pulled out my phone under the table, hit record. "Absolutely," agreed Mr. Henderson. "Our country club has the same philosophy. Selective membership keeps the quality high." Exactly. Whether it's real estate, social circles, or family gatherings, you have to be careful about who you associate with. Speaking of family, Mrs. Henderson said, "Where's Gary's son tonight? I was hoping to meet him." Diane's smile never wavered. "Oh, Brandon's around somewhere. Young people, you know how they are. Probably more comfortable with kids his own age." Lie number 1. I kept the phone recording. "What's he studying again?" Mr. Henderson asked me directly. "Engineering. Junior year, 3.8 GPA, impressive. Any internship prospects?" Before I could answer, Diane jumped in. "We're hoping he'll find something suitable, of course, with his background. It may take some time." Background? Mrs. Henderson looked confused. "Well, he works in food service currently. Coffee shop, I believe." Sometimes that kind of work history can be limiting for professional opportunities. Lie number 2. The kid had already been contacted by 3 engineering firms about summer internships based on his grades and recommendations from professors. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice level, "he's been offered interviews at Morrison Engineering, Blackstone and Associates, and Technical Solutions Group." Diane's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "How wonderful. Of course, interviews aren't job offers." "No, but they're a good start for a kid who's earned every opportunity through hard work." "Absolutely," Mrs. Henderson agreed. "Character matters more than anything else in business." Diane forced a laugh. "Well, let's hope potential employers see it that way." The conversation moved on, but I kept recording. Every slight, every dismissive comment, every time Diane steered discussion away from Brandon, or made subtle digs about service work and family standards. By the time dessert was served, I had 40 minutes of audio that painted a clear picture of systematic discrimination. Around 9:30, I excused myself to use the bathroom. Instead, I walked back out to the pool house. Found Brandon exactly where I'd left him, but now he wasn't alone. Diana's 17-year-old daughter Stephanie was there with two friends, all of them staring at him through the glass like he was some kind of zoo exhibit. I pulled out my phone, started recording video before they noticed me. So that's really him. One of the girls was saying, "The coffee boy." "Yup," Stephanie laughed. "Mom made him wait out here because she was embarrassed." Can you imagine having to work at a coffee shop? Why doesn't his dad just get him a real job? Because his dad's like a construction worker or something. They don't have connections like normal families. That's so sad. I mean, I feel bad for him, but it's probably better this way. He'd feel totally out of place with the adults inside. Brandon sat there through all of it pretending to read his textbook. Kid had more dignity in his little finger than these three combined, but he took their mockery without saying a word, just kept his head down and endured it. I got it all on video. 2 solid minutes of the host's own daughter explaining to her friends how family members get excluded based on their jobs, how blue-collar work makes you less than human, how some people just don't belong with normal families. When the girls finally got bored and left, I waited a few minutes before going inside. Brandon looked up when I entered, heard that whole thing. I said, "It's fine, Dad." "No, it's not fine, but it's about to be." I spent the rest of the evening working the room, phone in my pocket recording everything, had conversations with every major investor, every potential client, every person Diane was trying to impress, asked about their families, their kids' jobs, their values regarding work and character. The Hendersons turned out to have raised 3 kids, all of whom worked service jobs through college. Best education they ever got, Mr. Henderson told me. Taught them humility, customer service, what real work looks like. The Jamesons from the country club. Their daughter was a teacher who'd worked at Starbucks for 2 years to pay off student loans. "We couldn't be prouder," Mrs. Jameson said. She learned more about people in that coffee shop than she ever would have sitting in some cushy office. One by one, I learned that these wealthy, sophisticated people actually respected hard work and modest beginnings. They weren't the snobs Diane made them out to be. They were parents and grandparents who understood the value of earning your way. Around 1100, people started heading home. I collected Brandon from the pool house and we said our polite goodbyes. Diane was gracious as always, thanking us for coming, hoping we'd enjoyed ourselves. Nathan walked us to the door, still avoiding real eye contact. "Thanks for understanding tonight," he said quietly. "Sure thing, brother." We drove home in silence. Brandon stared out the passenger window at the dark countryside rolling past. Finally, he spoke up. "That was pretty humiliating, Dad. I know. Stephanie and her friends, they think we're like a different species or something. What they think doesn't matter. It does when they're family." I pulled into our driveway. Our house looked small after Nathan's mansion, 1,200 square feet, built in 1987, needed a new roof and some exterior paint. But it was ours, paid for with honest work and no apologies to anyone. "Brandon, I need you to know something. What happened tonight wasn't about you. It was about fear and insecurity and people who think money makes them better than everyone else. I know that intellectually, but it still hurt. Good. Remember that feeling. Use it." Monday morning, I started making phone calls. First was the Better Business Bureau, where I filed a formal complaint about discriminatory business practices. Real estate agents have to follow fair housing laws, can't discriminate based on employment or economic status. Diane's own words captured on my phone showed a pattern of exactly that kind of thinking. "We take these complaints very seriously," the BBB representative told me, "especially when they involve licensed professionals who serve the public." Next was the State Real Estate Commission. They have strict codes of conduct for licensees, professional behavior, ethical standards, treating all potential clients with respect regardless of background. "Ma'am, I have recordings of a licensed agent making discriminatory statements about service workers and their families. She specifically excluded family members from business events based on their employment. Can you email us those recordings? Already prepared them for you." The third call was to Jim Martinez at the Tribune. Jim's son Danny had worked construction for me a couple summers back. Good kid who'd gone on to become a teacher. I knew Jim understood the value of honest work. "Jim, I got a story for you about local business leaders who think service workers aren't good enough for family gatherings." "That's a hell of an accusation, Gary." Got video and audio proof. Real estate developer excluding her own nephew from Christmas dinner because he works at a coffee shop. You willing to go on record? "Absolutely. This needs to be public. Send me everything you got." By Tuesday afternoon, I documented the whole situation, audio recordings, video of Stephanie mocking Brandon, witness statements from other family members who'd seen similar behavior over the years. Turns out I wasn't the only one who'd noticed Diane's pattern of excluding people she considered beneath her social status. Wednesday morning, the Tribune ran the story on page 3. Local developer under fire for discriminatory comments. They didn't use names, but everyone in Westfield knew exactly who they meant. Small town like that, news travels fast. The article quoted several unnamed sources describing a Christmas party where family members were excluded based on their employment. It mentioned recordings of discriminatory statements and systematic exclusion of working-class relatives from family events. By Thursday morning, the phone started ringing. First was Mrs. Henderson, calling Diane to say they decided to work with a different real estate agent. We just don't feel comfortable with someone whose values don't align with ours. The Jamisons followed an hour later, then the Morrisons, the Blackwood family, and 3 other major clients. Within 48 hours, Diane had lost over $2 million in pending deals. Friday brought a call from the Real Estate Commission. Seems the Tribune article had prompted several other complaints from people who'd experienced similar treatment from Diane over the years. Former clients who remembered offhand comments about appropriate neighborhoods and quality residents. Business associates who'd witnessed her dismissive attitude toward service workers. And blue-collar families. Mr. Peterson, we're opening a formal investigation into professional conduct violations. Your complaint was very helpful, but it appears to be part of a larger pattern. Saturday morning, Nathan showed up at my house. I was in the garage, same spot where Dad had taught us to work on cars 30 years ago. Had my truck up on jack stands, replacing the transmission filter. Gary, we need to talk. I didn't stop working. What's on your mind? You know damn well what? The newspaper, the Real Estate Commission. Diane's business falling apart. Sounds like consequences. She's my wife, Gary, and Brandon's my son. But that didn't seem to matter much last Saturday. Nathan sat down on Dad's old wooden stool, looked around at the familiar tools and workbench. I screwed up. Yeah, you did. I let her convince me that image was more important than family, that success meant keeping certain people at arm's length, including your own nephew. Including my nephew. He was quiet for a long minute. You know what the worst part is? I actually started believing it. Started thinking maybe Brandon's job was something to be embarrassed about. Brandon's job is honest work. He's paying his own way through college, learning responsibility, building character. Most kids his age are living off their parents' credit cards. I know that now. I wiped my hands on a rag, looked at my brother. What do you want from me, Nathan? Forgiveness, and maybe some advice about how to fix this mess. Talk to Brandon first. He's the one who got hurt. What about Diane? The Real Estate Commission is reviewing her license. She could lose everything. What about her? She's still family, Gary. Marriage means something. I thought about Michelle, about the vows we'd made and kept for 17 years until cancer took her. About partnership and loyalty and standing together against the world. Nathan, marriage is supposed to make you a better person. It's supposed to strengthen your character, not replace it. What's Diane done except make you weaker and more selfish? That's not fair. Fair? She made your nephew eat a gas station sandwich in a pool house while her friends gorged themselves on lobster. She told potential business partners that service workers don't deserve respect. She raised a daughter who thinks blue-collar families are subhuman. Nathan's shoulders sagged. Jesus. When you put it like that, that's exactly how it was. And you sat there and let it happen because you were more afraid of her than you were ashamed of yourself. So what do I do? You choose right now today? Choose between enabling more of the same or standing up for what's right. He was quiet for a long time. Outside, I could hear kids playing in the neighborhood, normal families living normal lives without pretense or shame. I need to talk to Brandon, he said finally. He's at Murphy's Coffee, gets off at 4:00. That afternoon, I drove by the coffee shop around closing time. Saw Nathan's Audi in the parking lot, him and Brandon sitting at a corner table having what looked like a serious conversation. Good. Some things needed to be said face to face. Brandon came home around 6:30, thoughtful but not upset. How'd it go with Uncle Nathan? Better than expected. He really apologized, Dad. Not just sorry he got caught, but sorry for what he let happen. What'd you tell him? That I forgave him, but things couldn't go back to how they were. That he had to choose between supporting Diane's behavior or being part of our family. Smart kid. What did he say to that? That he'd already made his choice. He's filing for divorce. 2 months later, the Real Estate Commission suspended Diane's license pending a full investigation. The discrimination complaints, combined with some questionable business practices they'd uncovered during the investigation, effectively ended her career in Westfield. She moved back to her parents' place in Connecticut. Nathan kept the house, kept his insurance business, started rebuilding his reputation in the community. Turns out when you stop pretending to be something you're not, people respect you more. Brandon finished the semester with a 4.0, accepted a paid internship at Morrison Engineering for the summer. When I told him the news, he just smiled. All because I serve coffee, right, Dad? All because you work hard and don't let people make you feel small. Nathan comes by the house now every couple weeks. We watch football, work on projects, talk about real things. He asks about Brandon's classes, comes to his presentations, acts like the uncle he should have been all along. Last month, Brandon graduated summa cum laude. Job offer in hand from Morrison Engineering, starting salary higher than I ever dreamed possible. At the graduation party, Nathan pulled me aside. I owe you an apology I never properly gave. For what? For choosing her over you that night. For sitting there while she humiliated Brandon. For being a coward when my family needed me to be a man. I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The pretense was gone, this social climbing ambition replaced by something quieter and more genuine. You made it right. That's what matters still. I want you to know I see it clearly now. What happened, what I allowed to happen, and what you did afterward, that took real courage. Brandon's 23 now, been at Morrison Engineering for 2 years. Designing electrical systems for commercial buildings, making good money, engaged to a nice girl from his church. Still humble, still treats everyone with respect. And he learned something valuable that night in the pool house. When people show you who they really are, believe them. When they try to make you feel small because of honest work, stand tall anyway. Character matters more than image. Hard work matters more than inherited money. And family should lift each other up, not tear each other down for profit. That's the lesson I hope people take from this. Stand up for your kids. Stand up for what's right. And when someone treats your family badly, don't just get mad, get strategic. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of their own actions. In life, you don't get respect by demanding it. You earn it by refusing to accept disrespect, even when it comes from family who should know better. The most powerful lesson you can teach your children isn't how to avoid conflict, but how to stand up with dignity when someone tries to diminish their worth based on honest work.